this only has a few minutes left. And we gotta take it down so we're not staring at it.
That's the tape on the wall.
All right.
Final security.
So again, we got 15 minutes to present, up to 15 minutes of questions, and then we'll quickly kind of swap the next team. Who wants to be the timekeeper? Thank you, Emily. Emily's got it.
And when do you want your warning?
8:25. 11:25.
So Julio, I'll need, do you have
I have it right here.
okay. Can we, we're just gonna leave that computer up there? No, because we have
The new ThinkPads don't have the port for it. You need an HDMI adapter.
Anybody have one of those?
What?
No.
I don't.
Here,
Can you just
email
email
it
it?
out to me real quick? Can you do that?
I don't know, mine has
And if you need Wi-Fi,
No, they gave us all the new ones last year.
You
one.
love it.
Mine's got a.
I'll give you the keys.
You just don't think about it. Oh,
Kevin, do you want like a 5-minute warning, a 2-minute warning or anything? What do you want?
5.
I haven't seen anybody else.
Wasn't too bad. Michelle, well, Prince? Miss Prince? Is she not coming?
no, she is. I mean, they've moved up here, but her husband was in a 4-wheeler accident. My wife talked to her yesterday. He doesn't have to have surgery. injury, thankfully, but he's going to be in a neck brace for the next 6 weeks. And their movers are coming on Monday to move them into their new house, so,
Wow.
yeah.
Is it gonna be all right, or?
Yeah, he'll be okay.
Somebody's on their phone?
Mine. Is that outside?
Yeah.
Are the numbers on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to reach out to her. She'll be all right, but it just added a new stress.
Nick's moving is, in itself is tough.
So he's not gonna be able to work. And it was a recreational accident, so what are they gonna get?
Did he have a position out here already, or?
He was a roofer.
Work?
A friend of mine, Tim Meyer.
This is the season for that.
Can you, just disconnect from that? If you accept, if there's time out loud. And then disconnect.
Yep. That's a lady who's currently. So she's. No. So they do do something. They do. You know, that stress and then stuff like that. I think this chocolate sauce should have been. We'll have the same way too. I think these state heads don't have that plug. This, yeah.
The things that are going on.
So I mean, think about that.
Julio, do you have my contract?
They are. Which look like they're maybe smaller.
Okay. So how much time did they run for? So, got it.
Okay, thank you.
So before they start again, really, and I know we've talked about this individually, but again, really the point of today is, number one, for everyone to share what they've been doing over the past few weeks. And then obviously, and this goes back to one of the first sessions we had with Ben in the beginning of June, great leaders, whether school leaders or other, are able to clearly, articulately explain their vision, what they want to do, why they want to do it, and how they're going to do it, to a group, whether it's colleagues, whether it's parents, whether it's students. So this is a way not only to kind of bring together everything we've been working on over the past few weeks, but also, very transparently, I think a good practice for what everyone will most likely be saying to their staff on August 1, when everyone comes back. As we go through and when everyone's done with their presentation and we have time for questions, the questions are in no way a reflection or an indication of how much work you put in, how much effort, how prepared you are. It is just a way, again, to keep deepening our thinking and to be very crisp about how we want to convey where we want to go, how we're going to get there, why it's important as a school leader. And I hope everyone in the room will feel very comfortable asking questions of each other throughout the day. That's only going to help all of us as we go back to our schools and have to do this to our various stakeholders over the next few weeks. So with that, I think the clock is finally really starting.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Go ahead, Broadway.
Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
A big part of what we're going to do this morning will involve you. So you will be engaged. And I want you to just get out of the mindset for a few minutes of a leader. And we want to take you through what it would be like to be a student of Broadway Academy as we begin our new year. The first thing that I want to focus on before we start is, what is the central mission of what we do? And I think that is very important. The mission of what we do as a school has an impact on everything, and it also reflects on our identity.
So with the agenda, we are going to review the mission of Broadway Academy, as Mr. James just pointed out, and you're going to experience the day in the life of our scholars by learning the Panther Hall handshake, by listening to a typical morning announcement, and becoming students in a Champions for Change lesson. So now Mr. James is going to recite our mission of our school.
All scholars at Broadway Academy will obtain a high-quality education in order to be successful. Our scholars will show respect for one another, practice integrity, achieve high expectations, and work collaboratively to accomplish our dreams. That is our focus. That's what we want to see our Broadway students achieve. And as you see by our banner, the colors we use are inclusive of everybody. It's not just our students, it is also our staff, our parents, and our partners. So right now we would like to move into the portion where you're involved. I need you to get with a partner. And you can stand up. We want to show you the Broadway handshake.
Okay, so everyone form your hand like a fist, okay? And it's going to be a fist pound and right into a thumbs up, okay? So we will demonstrate. So all eyes on the speaker. Ready? Very simple. Fist pound, thumbs up, okay?
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Try it one more time.
Try it one more time.
1, 2, 3. All right. Nice
Okay, very
job.
good.
Nice job. Wait, don't sit down.
Don't sit down. At this point, I need you guys to line up right outside of the door, quickly and quietly, in order. As you come in, you will give me the handshake, and I will give you a standard ball game.
And if you do it correct, you will earn a Panther point. So if you do the handshake correct, you will earn a Panther point. So we will be watching.
Good morning, welcome to Broadway Academy, a place for teamwork and teamwork. Good morning, welcome to Broadway Academy, a place for teamwork and teamwork. Good morning, welcome to Broadway Academy, a place for teamwork and teamwork. Good morning, welcome to Broadway Academy, a place for teamwork and teamwork.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you today? Good. Good morning. How are you today? All right, boys and girls, if you did not get a do now assignment, please raise your hand. Did everyone receive a do now assignment? Perfect. Boys and girls, before we get started, good morning. Good morning. All right, so you have a do now assignment. I need all of you to take out your writing utensils. We're going to get started before we listen to our morning announcements, but go ahead and get started while we wait for Mr. James to recite our morning announcements.
Good morning, Broadway scholars and staff. Today is Monday, August 15th. Broadway scholars are smart, determined, and loyal. As we begin this new week and new school year, we would like to take this time to welcome all of our returning as well as new staff and scholars. Our theme for this week is Character Counts. We will all take time this week to reflect on and demonstrate those aspects of our character. Character provides the foundation for success and growth in all areas of our lives. Let us stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hands in your heart. Ready, set, go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give yourself a uniform check. Make sure you're tucked and tied. Okay.
What's for lunch? Pizza, green beans, tater tots, fruit cup, and milk. Here is our quote for Monday. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. We are the Panthers. We are proud. Have a great Monday.
All right, so you have your do now assignment in front of you. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to get as many sentences as you can. So think about your best friend. Write 5 to 10 sentences about why you value your friend. Describe your friend using descriptive words. So I don't want to use physical words. I want to use words that you can't see. Like don't want you to say, well, Mrs. Bias is my best friend. She is tall. I want you to say something about her inner self, okay? So think about your friend. You have 2 minutes starting now. more
That's great.
seconds.
Great job. That's great. Great job.
10 seconds. All right, very good.
job.
Boys and girls, our do now assignment is actually going to go right into our learning target for this morning. Boys, I want you to sit up in GOP, good learning posture. All right. Girls, I want you to also sit up in good learning posture as we recite our I can statement. I want you all to read it together with me. Ready, set, read. I can create a character code of conduct for the school year. Very good. Now, boys and girls, what were some of the values that you sought in your friend? What were some of those values? Just a couple of examples. Okay, funny, loyal, caring, intelligent. Very good. So for your personal code of conduct, sometimes what you see in a friend are some of the qualities that you want to see in yourself. So this school year, I want you to think of some of those traits that are important to you. And what's going to happen are these 5 code of conduct virtues are going to push you along the entire school year, okay? So again, I don't want to see physical traits like I am a person of beauty. I want to see something that is inside you. For example, I am a person of kindness. So I would do things throughout the school year to show that I am showing kindness. Mr. James, what would be an example for you?
I am a person of responsibility. So that means I have to show things during the year that show I am a responsible person.
Does anyone have any questions? So what you're going to do, let's see, I'm going to pass the papers. 1, 4, 5. You're going to write your name at the top, and you're going to think about 5 virtues that mean a lot to you. So as soon as you get your paper, I want you to write your name, and I want you to think about 5 virtues that you want to see in yourself. Of course, I will give the kids longer, but I'm going to give you 30 seconds.
And as you think about those, think about the ones you wrote about your friends to see if there are traits that you have in common.
Seconds. All right, I want you to pair up with a partner and just discuss what you shared about your code of conduct. So just talk about your traits. See if you have any similarities with your partner.
I'm a person of integrity, person of care, person of understanding, person of passion, Yes, we do. We have integrity. And I need you to lean on me. You me your emails while you send this stuff here.
All right, boys and girls, if you are happy and confident with your work, I want you to come. I want you to take a piece of tape and I want you to hang it up on the wall, because later on I am going to copy it for you and you're going to take a copy for home so you can wake up every morning to see this at home as well. But I also want you to always see it in the classroom. So if you're confident in your work, come up, grab a piece of tape, and you can tape it somewhere on the wall.
Okay, guys, as you take a look at the board, this is our character code of conducts. Throughout the school year, we're going to take a look at these. We also did a character code of conduct for ourselves.
All right, let's give a round of applause. So now we have some time for questions. Emily, if you wouldn't mind setting your phone again, just so we stay on track. Thank you. The floor is open.
This is going to be an activity that's done at every grade level in every classroom?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to do it for professional development as well. So we want to take our teachers throughout the whole thing that we just did. We want our teachers to experience it as well.
Yeah, the very first day that they come back, this is what they'll do, put on a longer time frame.
I just want to say I love the fact that it's interactive. The fact it gave us an opportunity to engage and really appreciate that. I felt like it's extremely thought out and the other plan I think it's really good. So I like to think that a lot of buying.
And it's a plan that, as we know, continues to evolve. But the one thing that we looked at, and one thing that I learned from last year, is that if you have the basic foundation and the basic routine, it makes the school year perfect timing. Go a whole lot better and easier. Yes, yes, ma'am.
I have a clear understanding now how your students are going to come in and how the day is going to start. So that's good. So good job on that. I guess I'm still wondering though, I still don't know what does Broadway stand for. Like what is your school's focus? So like I know what students are going to see. I know that you're going to be building on character, but like what is Broadway? Like what's your focus? What are the students?
You know what, our focus for Broadway is to create leaders who have a high degree of character. And that's something that I want to see throughout the entire school, and not just with our students, but our staff.
So is that your focus? That was your focus that you showed?
Yes. Which incorporates everything else.
How many students were enrolled in Broadway last year?
321.
What percentage were special education?
We had about 46 of those students with special ed.
What percentage were ESL?
Around 10%. Max is a small number.
And what about the group fund?
Nearly all. Nearly all of those students.
So
what kind of character building activities are you planning on doing with your staff?
That's a good question. The one program that I initiated when I came was modeled after Boys and Girls Club, Passport to Manhood and Smart Girls. were gender-based. So I took the program and rewrote it and called it Champions for Change. And what Champions for Change does, it is a program where there is a topic each week, and it's catered to every grade level, from K through 8. So what happens is there is a 45-minute block of time where the students dialogue about issues that pertain to them. The primary goal of Champions for Change is to really get our students to focus on skills. The big thing that we see at Broadway, and you may see it in your schools, is to really train our kids how to work together as a team, because those are skills they don't have. So a big part of our program is to really give our students those skills of how to work together in a positive way. And it also gives them a chance to just sit and talk. The one thing that we have learned and found out is a lot of our kids, when they come into our school, they really have no one who they can just talk to or have that outlet where they can just talk about issues that pertain to them. So we give them that safe environment where they can just be who they are and just talk about those issues that they have to deal with, not just in school, but outside of school. Yes.
Okay, so it's really clear that character is the focus and you people really see that. Can you talk about how your instructional framework is going to tie into your character and how that's going to do student achievement?
Good question. The one issue that I saw from last year with instruction, we went from teachers the previous year who were just in survival mode to teachers last year who taught. There was a lot of instruction, but there wasn't a lot of engagement with students. Students were not engaged. And the one thing that we looked at as we looked at the entire year was that, yes, we had instruction, but did the teachers really get the students excited about learning? Did they get them engaged about learning? Was the teacher in a role of a facilitator of learning versus just a teacher? So the whole academic focus for our school for this year is to really get the teachers to move from just the role of just being a teacher to a facilitator of learning, and how to get students engaged in the lesson, to get feedback from them, and also to get students more involved. That's something we haven't seen, so that's where we want to move to.
And some key pieces too, we're definitely going to expect some type of eval piece, and then our evaluations on the extremely important like that. Check for understanding, whether it's a checkpoint or a discussion or some type of something that will let me know that you guys were on point.
And the one thing we did this summer in our summer school program, we had students at the end of the lesson just tell somebody, what did you learn today? You know, what did you learn throughout the lesson? You know, to have students tell whoever comes through the building one thing that you learned. So that lets us know, okay, this is something that happened in class, this was a takeaway that our students got, and this is something that they can apply, not just inside the classroom, but outside the classroom as well.
Let's suppose I were a parent, and I'm shopping around to get my child enrolled in the school, and I came to your presentation. Besides what you just showed us, what else can you tell me that would convince me to enroll my child? Yes.
One thing that I will say to you, one word that I will use is relationships. The one thing that sells parents is when they talk to you, they don't want to know a lot about your successes, your data. They want to know, will their children be safe? And also they want someone to relate to them as a human being. And that is so important. The one thing that I have learned, and the one thing that I have done is when I talk to parents, I want parents to know I'm a principal, we're a school of academic focus, we're a school that cultivates leaders, but before that, I'm also a parent. So I can relate to them because I raised two sons. I am a parent. And when they're able to relate to the staff, on that level, you get their buy-in. And the one thing that we find in our school, and it may happen in other schools, is when parents are shopping around, a lot of times parents are hurt because they've had a bad experience in school when they were a child, or their children have had a bad experience in school. Parents want to be heard, they want to know that we're human, and they want to know that we have a passion for what we do. So those times when parents come into the building, just to be formal but informal at the same time, to let them know, you know what, this is different. This is a homey environment, and here is someone who I can relate to because they can identify with what I've gone through as a kid.
And to set the tone, we're going to have all of our staff members learn a new greeting for all of our parents, talking on the phone as soon as a parent comes into the building. We want them to say, welcome to Broadway Academy, where it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And just stated in our mission is that's extremely important for us. The character code of conduct is going to emerge right into creating their dream team. What do you want to be when you grow up, and this is my team that's going to rally behind me the entire time. And as far as the phone calls, we also want our staff to know how to make effective phone calls. Some of our staff members don't know how to communicate to parents. Finding something that is positive about that student is extremely important to set that tone of the conversation, and asking them, what can I do to better support you? What can you do to better support the school? Let's work together as a team, come to some type of action plan, and then focus on what that child can do to be successful. So we just always have to be on that same team. Building that relationship is extremely important. Yeah.
I want to build off on Emily's question. So obviously you mentioned sort of the start of class now is a school-wide expectation, check for understanding, and some sort of end of lesson, end of class assessment. Could you paint a picture for us, or describe in between those two bookends of a lesson, what do you want to see? And please do not use the terms direct instruction, collaboration, or differentiation.
So definitely starting with a I-CAN statement is very important for our students to know exactly what they are learning before they start. I think it's a disservice for our students to come in and your teacher is not planned. So definitely starting with an I-CAN statement, some type of I do, we do, you is our motto.
And the core of the lesson, I want to see movement in the classroom. The one thing that I've learned, I think we came from the old school model, a quiet classroom is learning. That's not true. I want to see noise, and I want to see students moving. I want to see students engaged, but also at the end of that lesson, we would like to incorporate something where the students can evaluate the lesson. What did I learn? How will this impact me? I think that's important. A lot of times we give students information, we bombard them with information, but we do not always get feedback from them in terms of how they felt or what they learned. So that's what we want to see in terms of our classroom structure, how that's going to look.
As far as the we do piece, just ensuring that they have enough time to engage with each other. I think so many times teachers do the I do, and then they expect you to know it independently. You have to be able to work together, work in small groups is extremely important.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I see that your core belief is character, or that's your focus. Do you have other core beliefs? Is that a part of your core belief, or is that your
Well, our mission statement is focused on the virtues of respect, responsibility, integrity, high expectations, and collaboration. So those are our core beliefs.
So when teachers are lesson planning, when you're coaching those teachers, where does this piece go into their lesson?
As far as, this is more of our behavior expectation. When we talked about the Panther points, we also want to have like some type of chart for them to collect points that are directly correlated with the respect, integrity, expectations, and collaboration. So the teachers will know exactly how to administer the Panther points. So this is how I show respect. This is how I show integrity. Coming to school with your uniform is a form of integrity, because sometimes students are getting up by themselves and they're dressing themselves. That is showing that you can do something without someone directly sharing it with you. So they will know exactly how to show these core values, and we will track that growth as well.
The one thing also is, beginning with the first day of training with the teachers, this mission statement should be articulated through everything that they do. So we should see it through instruction. We should see the respect for students. We should see the integrity. We should see the high expectations. So those are things that we should see in everything that we do as an entire school. So everything from instruction, the way you talk to each other, should reflect that mission.
So I think we have less than a minute, right? Anything urgent? All right, before we wrap up, I would say real quick feedback. Both of you purposely, there were 2 learning opportunities missed. And I think it's important to reflect whether you're working with students or your staff on August 1. Ben purposely came in and did it wrong. You didn't do the hand, I don't know what you did, like how in the moment would you either correct a student, correct your staff as you're modeling, practicing, rehearsing, or most importantly, how would you want them to correct the class clown that comes in and does it wrong purposely? So I think that's something, I think that was to Kevin. And then for you, Carly, so that purposely someone put their sign or their paper on top of someone else. I think that's a really important moment where I know you both want your teachers to say, like, let's take a time out as a class. Somebody covered up somebody else's work that they worked hard on. I don't think that goes with our belief around whether it's collaboration, respect, integrity. So how can we make sure as a class we're really going back to our values, going back to our beliefs? So I think your teachers will really value that sort of real-time feedback so they can address those. And I would encourage you, as you guys are practicing and rehearsing, to do those things to them. Like make sure, like I told Ben and I were in the back and I said, so are you going to be the one that doesn't do it right, or am I? And I think preparing for those sorts of things in your 10 days of PD will really help your teacher. I think they will really appreciate it. And I think it will hit the point home to them, like how deeply you two have been working on this and how much time you put in. And they're going to love it. I mean, they are going to love that amount of direction, coaching, and your expectations. I think that's going to really help them next year. So great. All right. Well done. Thank you very much, Ben.
Chaplain.
Oh, Chaplain is next. Do you need computer?
Yes.
Do you need jump drive, email? Okay. It was just for Carly's computer. Yeah, her computer doesn't have the right adapter for it. So I don't know. I don't know what the presenter's computer is going to have, so I don't know if they do that or not. Ben, can you slide like one chair either left or right? Yeah, it's the normal blue kind, but a lot of computers don't have that. Most presenters have all the adapters. No, it's just so that the camera can.
The first one. You'll remember what that's about. Remember? Remember?
Lord.
Just gotta be teachers a lot. This is one.
How do I get this chip in here?
All right, Emily, you're on time. You just tell them when the clock starts.
You guys ready? Good to go.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Ms. Scruggs, I'm Mr. Spencer, and we're here to talk about the Charger Way. I want to give you a little history of our school. It's been in existence for more than 30 years. And in that 30 years, it's had many titles, many outcomes, but the one thing that it's had is school pride and community pride. Many of our former students have current students enrolled in our program. The Chapelside Way. We are, we have an unshakable can-do attitude built on meaningful relationships, trust, honesty, and innovation. And today we're going to talk about how that and our core values equal success for our students. Ms. Scruggs and I created a vision and a mission based on some data of our local high schools. The schools that our students will attend have a 36% dropout rate within the first 2 years. So we created a vision that is transforming lives through learning. And our mission is that every student at Chapelside Cleveland Academy is able to attend and be accepted into the top high school, highest performing high schools in Cuyahoga County Schools. So today we're going to talk about our core values, and we're going to discuss what those mean to the parents, students of Chapelside.
So these are our core beliefs. Our core beliefs are collaboration, learning, accountability, and personalized. And so today we're going to delve into these. And when you think about collaboration, collaboration really means the action of working with someone to produce or create something. And we want our students to be able to collaborate with each other as well as with the teacher to be creators and to be able to create something. So we also have the vision of together, everyone achieves more, which stands for team. So we're going to focus on this throughout our presentation. When it comes down to the learning, we want our students to learn and be able to learn at their own abilities and their own levels. If you would take a look at the paper that was given to you today, it talks about, or it shows a very, very visual picture of an accountability partner. These two basically are counting on each other to keep moving. If one falls, the other one is going to fall. So they're going to have to work with each other in order to be successful in their journey. So this is a very, very good picture of how our staff will need to work with our students, how our staff will have to work with each other, and how we will have to work with our staff in order to grow. When it comes down to being personalized, it's really nice when someone knows something about you. And it's really nice when someone can reach down in and say, hey, I did listen to you when you said that. I was listening to you when you talked. I appreciate you for paying attention to me. So you have a little note on the back that says a little bit about what we've learned being together. So we are listening, we are here, and we want our teachers to feel the same way. I think I kind of already delved into this. We partner with our parents and our community to support our students' learning, and we teach our students to work cooperatively with others to accomplish goals. Daily, we get community leaders coming in saying, how can we partner with you? And so one of the goals that we have this year is for each of our teachers to go out and to bring in someone from the community to give something back to us, to our students, to share something neat with our students. So that's going to be one of the requirements that we talk about during our professional development days, that our teachers actually set up something, an activity, an assembly, an event, to make sure that our community knows we're still here and we want to work with you and build the community.
So our learning platform, so you'll see a pattern here, our core beliefs spelled flat. So today the learning piece, this stands for learning is constant. So in our classrooms, students will never be at a point where they just sit and they don't understand what they should do. That could either be that they need remedial or they need to be accelerated. Our students will be provided learning targets every day for every lesson that they do. And this is in collaboration with their teacher. The purpose of learning is constant is that we take a student from where they're at and we move them to where they need to be. No time wasted. Every minute counts. And the teacher and the student are informed of this progress. In this environment, you'll see students working together. They'll be evaluating each other, themselves. They'll be tracking progress. This is an important component to what we do. And I don't know if you can tell, but this is an actual school that's on a harbor. And these students are out on an environment where they're exploring through the learning process. This is what we want our students to be able to do. This means that the students own and live their academics. They're in charge. You won't see a teacher there. These students are working together on individual learning targets.
Accountability. We establish clear goals, measure progress, and take responsibility for results. And we teach our students to become responsible, self-motivated learners. And what helps our students to be able to do this is, number one, when the teachers and the community are working together, we find out what that student, or what pushes that student, and what helps to motivate them. So that's something that we're going to do at the beginnings of the year, is get to know our students. We also have an opportunity for our teachers to mentor. This is something that Mr. Spencer instituted a few years ago and we fell away from it, but this year we're going right back to it. Our teachers will be mentoring two students, not necessarily in their classroom, and they will have to touch that student by seeing them on a daily basis. And we're going to track and monitor how that student is able to grow just because of building a relationship with someone they would normally not have an opportunity to talk with. When it comes to the clear goals, our students will have goal sheets that they will be using to track and monitor their progress. Those goal sheets will be reviewed within their classrooms as well as shared with their parents when it comes time for parent-teacher conferences. So our parents will also know what the goals are, and our students will be able to see and reach those goals. When it comes to accountability, we have so many ways now that we can be accountable to each other. by myself and Mr. Spencer creating different opportunities to celebrate successes. So in order to celebrate the success, you got to know what you're striving for. So that's what we're working on now. And we want our students to be responsible for their own learning, for their own behavior. So we've also created a positive incentive behavior plan that is going to be instituted within our entire building, and every teacher will have to do it. I'll say it that way.
So and on the accountability piece, our goals for this year, we have an attendance goal, which we want 95% attendance for the year. We have an academic goal where we want to decrease our discipline referrals by 15%. And our academic goals are we want 100% of our students in reading and math to meet or exceed their goals using the math NWA assessment. Personalized. So you got a little note, Mike. You got a very personal note from us. We want to make our program very personal to our stakeholders, and this drives everything that we do. So in this environment that you will see at our school, students, if you speak to them or when you speak to them, they're going to know what they're doing because they have participated in the whole process. They're going to know what their learning target is. They're going to know how to reach that goal, and they're going to give you a timeline of how long it should take them, and they're going to give you examples of how I'm going to meet this goal. That's personalization. Those students in that program will succeed. And then the big picture of what we talked about to meet all of these beliefs, it's in a student-centered learning environment. Let me give you a second to read the little quote there. Can you see when we read it? I think it's an exaggeration, but that there's a lot of truth in saying that when you go to school, the trauma is that you must stop learning and you must now accept being taught. So what we want the students to own the process. We want the adults in the classroom to facilitate the learning. They become a part of the learning process. In the student-centered learning environment, that's exactly what it is. Everything is built around the student's need. They have a voice and choice of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. It's relevant to them. They own it. Students will have a learning target every day, so they know at all times what they're working on and how it's going to be assessed. In our environments, you will see students working individually. They'll be working in small groups. They'll be working with teachers and stations. There will be learning centers where students are intentionally working on content that's directed to their goal. Our instructional purpose for this year is that we're going to we want to check for understanding. We're going to do that through our guided instructional piece. Our teachers are going to be required to have at least 3 opportunities to check for understanding during the lesson. This is going to ensure that our teachers and our students know where they need to go. Thank you. All right, we'll be seeing you now.
I just want to say that I love the fact how you all did this and wrote positive things about people. That was impressive. I was like, wow. Yeah, that was impressive.
And thus to your note, always.
Yeah, right.
You're always complimenting, and we appreciate it.
My question is, and I wonder, we're all familiar with the language of, the voice and choice and facilitating and whatnot. And so my question is, what does that look like? And how can we model it? And so you presented it, so I'm asking, how is it modeled? How do teachers really know what that is, what that looks like? How's it delivered?
So in this plan, so our struggle was where we want to be and where we're at right now. So this product here is going to evolve over the next few years. So what that looks like in a classroom is, if I have a set of standards, it could be under a science strand. The voice and choice is that I'm interested in how the plant develops and grows as a student. That's going to be my hook. The teacher doesn't have to have the hook anymore. The student provides that to you. So what our position is, to start off, we'll do possibly have two teacher project and a student choice project. That way the teacher can direct this, learn how to do it, and then they can model it for the student. The goal in the end here is that the students drive this. And our best learners are kindergarten. That's how they learn. They've been learning through doing for 4 or 5 years, and now we're going to allow them to continue to do that. So it's a well-planned project over time. Yes.
What will intervention look like at your school, and when are you expecting it to actually start with this?
So this year, we created a schedule that in the morning, we're going to have large blocks of time. So school, we're going to go from 8 to 12. It's going to be language arts, math block. There's no transition time. What we intend to do is pull all of our specialist teachers, our aides, our intervention specialists into the classroom and flood those rooms with intervention time. So those folks will be working not just with single students, but small groups of students on detailed interventions that they need to close that door. In the afternoon, we're going to have a more traditional opportunity where students will go through a Read 180, System 44, and they'll be pulled out into a creative lab. And that will go about 45 minutes every day, so we can rotate through students going up there. In the afternoon, in addition to that, it's not just about interventions. We are going to introduce a science inquiry for our students. So the students that are getting interventions based on their need, we're also going to have an inquiry science time for students that are ready to move forward. And our hope is that we're able to collectively gather with this model, promote academic excellence throughout the day. Did that answer your question?
I'm a parent that is extremely busy and does not have time to make it to parent-teacher conference and often cannot be reached on the phone. How at Chapelside are you going to inform me that my child is receiving a personalized education and that they are, how will you share with me the progress of their goals?
That's great. Thank you for asking that. We are going to adopt a model where, for example, conferences, it's going to be delivered by the student. So this whole process is just that. We're informing, the student is informing themselves of their behavioral, academic, social growth. They're going to have a data binder that represents all of this information. So in case that parent isn't able to come, the student is able to take that portfolio home. They can sit with the parent and share out what they're doing. It's going to include, we're going to continue with the standards-based progress report, but then we'll have an alpha grade system per power school. So those pieces are going to, I think our parents are going to be more informed than they ever were before.
Thank you.
So, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts, and so it's like all great, fantastic ideas. If I'm a classroom teacher, listening to this and hearing all this, what are you expecting from me for the first 2 months of school? Because maybe I don't know how to do all this stuff, so what's acceptable, what's not, just to build that. You said this was lots of ways to end property. Well, what's the middle product for me, or a new staff member coming in, or somebody who's never been trained on this before?
Sure. So I think through our process, again, this has been our struggle because we want to be here and we're here. So we are going to adopt the pedagogy of an I do, we do philosophy. And then with our inquiry base in the afternoon, that serves two purposes. That's one for the teacher to learn how that looks, and that's for the student to learn that process. So our framework will look traditional, if you will, at the beginning of the year. So the non-negotiables, we're going to have learning targets that are not just posted on the wall, but they're going to be part of the initial lesson. So we're going to break down what are the learning components of every learning target so the kids and teacher know that. And then we're going to model how can I track my progress. So when we do, a short or formative or a short cycle assessment, students and teachers are going to learn this together, how to track that evidence. That's going to make a powerful lesson. From there, the teacher and the student are going to be able to sit during their coaching time or their small groups and identify these are the areas that you're weak in. Here's what we can do to get there. And they're going to develop a goal sheet. That's what the student owns. Now they're going to be able to progress through that. I think those components in the beginning are going to allow us to establish a baseline of where we need to go. And you know what? We have some teachers that I think are going to be further along on this. They're going to help us to support the folks that are not there yet.
And this is not what we would present to our teachers. It's broken down. Step by step.
When you talked about the positive behavior reward system,
How many minutes do you have?
okay, so let's be specific. Tell us what they need to do, what kind of things are going to reward, and what that reward is.
Okay.
And you got
I'm gonna try to condense it. This is big. The positive incentive plan encompasses the entire building, every single classroom, and every teacher has to do it. There are 4 levels that are within the plan, and the students get to start at a level and grow throughout the year, showing basically character growth. And it would not be based off of academics, although turning in classwork would be a part of that. The teachers will have specific ways for the students to show that they are ready to move to the next level. And then we also reward those students each time they are moving to the next level. And rewarding teachers for not being punitive and not rewarding students. So we have a teacher plan as well, thank you, to help encourage our teachers to promote students. So it is a running record of behavior and will definitely help our students become more engaged, take ownership of their own behavior and not so much, she's not looking, and also encompasses our bus, as well as our hallways, as well as it encompasses the entire building, so everyone is going to have the same language across specials, across classrooms, No matter if someone walks in, it's just gonna encompass everything. And we have a reward system that we've already put some things into already, but we're gonna have our teachers help us come up with some more ideas to reward the students.
I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but what are the levels? What is that?
Well, it's based off of our mascot, the Charger. So each student starts at a Spark. So each student comes in, you're enrolled, you're a Spark, we're gonna induct you into a ceremony, we're gonna have a whole bunch of hoorah. You're a Spark. In order for you to grow to the next level, I'm gonna have my teachers kind of help me come up with the names for those. But level 2, level 3, level 4 is you are fully charged. So level 1 is like 25%, level 2 is 50%, level 3 is 75%, and then the last one, you're 100%, you're charged.
Go Chargers!
Hey, you're charged. So we're getting 100% shirts some type of way, donations, fundraisers, community, whatever. When you get to 100%, you're basically a student leader. At that point, we need to be asking you how to make this school run. Yes.
Quick question, in second grade, how many minutes a day do you expect a second grader to be reading independently?
Well, block is a good question because we have 2 blocks. We have 120 minutes built in, and then we have some intervention, 45 minutes if they need it. So they should be independent reading of 25 to 35 minutes throughout the day.
No one else does. So, and it might be the same for the both of you, but it might be different. But as you think about August 1 and your kids coming back, what's keeping you up at night that you're fearful they're not either going to understand your expectations, or you're nervous if you have enough time to scaffold up their ability to meet it? Like, what is keeping you up at night right now when you think about your 10 days or 2 days?
Well, for me personally, it's the time just for a teacher to understand what they're teaching is going to take time. So they have to know what standards are important and what am I going to teach. And then for them to be able to break that down into learning targets for the classroom and the students, that's going to take a lot of time. So I think for us is, if we don't get this moving quickly, we're never going to get through it. It's going to take 5 years instead of 2 years. So I think it's understanding who's coming back. Unfortunately, we have a lot of book-based mentality in our building. So if the book doesn't say it, then I can't do it. So that is going to be a challenge for us as well.
Mine is the behavioral. I deal with behavior. So mine is making sure that my teachers buy in. I'm going to have to turn into the rah-rah. This is it. This is the end-all, the be-all. This is the only way. And just get them excited and pumped up about the actual plan. And there is no other way because they're all going to be speaking the same language. So that would be mine.
Last question.
You talked accountability and 2 students. Each teacher will have 2 students. So that would cover probably 10% of your school.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you do with the other 90% of what are the plans, and also how do they choose the 2 students?
They can choose the students on their own. We give them the school list, and they can someone that they can connect with. Maybe they have seen the student in passing before. We don't want to dictate who they choose. But what was your first question?
So that, just say you have 16 teachers.
We would not, with the behavioral plan, it is individualized so that each student grows at their own rate. So even though they may not be getting a mentor, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be recognized for their growth individually throughout the school year. This is just an extra little piece.
All right. I think Emily said I had your last question. Thank you. Before you guys sit down, quick feedback. You mentioned team and you mentioned class, right? So when you guys said that, I immediately went to like walking into chapel side and you're in the seating area, couch. Like, what is the first banner gonna say? Is it gonna be TEAM or is it gonna be CLAP? I think.
Say charges.
Well, what I'm getting at is, I think it is hard, like, kids, we have to build their capacity to buy in, and teachers. So I would encourage you to pick one of those, and like, that is your focus. That's the acronym they're always gonna hear on everything, whether it's the shared language, and you mentioned it specifically, of correcting or rewarding, somehow goes back to 1 to 2. Personally, I think clap is great, because you can actually physically like make that transition time. If you hear my voice clap once, it can be so tangible to your kids that I think that would be extremely impactful to them. And I think your teachers can like buy into that and make that their own really quickly. And your staff is going to make jokes about having the clap in staff meetings, which I think is going to be really great for building camaraderie. So that's my one piece of feedback. All right. All right, Ben.
Lincoln Park. Get them out of the way.
Jeez. Do you need a computer?
No, it's all set up.
It's on that jump drive?
It is.
Gotcha.
That's good, right?
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Good to go?
All right.
All right, good to go, let's see, you're on the clock.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name's Alyssa Koo. I'm the principal at Lincoln Park Academy, and I am here to tell you, you should enroll your child at my school because on Cleveland's West Side, we are the only best choice for you and your family. All students at my school build academic skills, character traits, and the habits that they need to excel in college prep high schools. It is definitely our goal to put your child in a position where he or she could be farmed from many competitive high schools so that you have choice. If you are a student at Lincoln Park Academy, or a parent, or a teacher, or any other stakeholder, you will believe and adhere to our core beliefs. At Lincoln Park Academy, we are successful. Success is our only option. We have high aspirations, and we definitely have a desire for excellence. In order to get there, we all own our part. Everyone at Lincoln Park owns their part. Students are accountable, staff is accountable, our community partners are accountable. We all own up. We are passionate. If you visit my school, you will see a team of passionate individuals working daily, dedicated to infuse passion into every aspect of the school, whether you visit my cafeteria, the gymnasium, the school office, or any classroom. To get there, it definitely takes teamwork. Being a part of Lincoln Park Academy means that you are a part of our team. We are all individuals who team. My core beliefs definitely affect and drive the new school culture at Lincoln Park Academy. If you visit Lincoln Park, a day in the life at my academy, you will see that we concentrate on building meaningful relationships. These relationships that we build with our students, with one another, and our stakeholders directly affect how we team. We are providing your student a culture of error. It is okay for your child to attend my school and not have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. It is okay for him or her to attend and learn and grow. We will build this culture of error, and you can see it in motion by visiting any one of my classrooms. Inside a classroom at Lincoln Park Academy, you will see a gradual release framework of learning. You will witness teachers in front of the classroom following the I do, we do, you do model, where they model for students what the expectation is, what the learning target is, so that students can own their learning. By gradual release, then, they work with your child so that they feel safe in the environment. They can fail. There's allowed for error because there's a partnership of team. And then students will gradually be released into the you-do, where we have provided them an environment that is comfortable for failure, and they will feel supported enough and built up enough to show you what they have learned independently. And don't worry, if your child struggles, you may have had a poor experience at your previous school at Lincoln Park, we will differentiate the instruction that your student receives. So if your child is repeating 5th grade and you are unhappy at the last school, it's okay, because in their classroom, we will set their learning targets and goals so that they can meet their growth. While you're visiting classrooms, you will see teachers checking for understanding. Your child will be given many opportunities to show their teacher what they know and how well they've learned. Teachers will be excited to walk around classrooms and stop, visit with your child, and make sure that he or she is on the right track and provide the support that they need. We will be celebrating our core values. I didn't include a huge slide about our PBIS, but PBIS is huge at Lincoln Park. We celebrate every goal, and not just inside of the classroom. Our attendance goal for this school year is 96%. We will celebrate our attendance goal. We will celebrate dress code. We will celebrate displays of teamwork. We will celebrate ownership. I wanted to include the letter that I'm going to share with my staff on the first day, because part of my presentation absolutely is going to transfer to August 1st. And I think it's important that all of you know that I'm working tirelessly to provide the best opportunity for your child. And just like you know I own this, it's important that my team returning knows that things are going to be different. I'd like to read it to you. Welcome back to a new year of great opportunity. I am excited to lead our dynamic team as we develop into excellence. My journey this summer has been challenging and rewarding. Our school mission has been reinvented to produce students that build the academic skills, character traits, and habits needed to excel in college prep high schools. Our culture is one that fosters strong relationships and provides an environment where students feel safe making and discussing mistakes. Together, we will shape our perception of what it means to make a mistake and embrace the immense value in the learning that can make it feel safe to be wrong. At Lincoln Park Academy, we must be committed. Everyone will give 110% and go the extra mile. 110% equals everything. We want it all. We do not save anything for later. We do not relax. We do not take a break to catch our breath. We give everything we've got. Each day is a new day, and we will be better today than we were yesterday. Through our core beliefs of passion, ownership, teamwork, and success, we will achieve greatness. For me as your leader, you can expect my time, effort, and commitment. Great moments are born from great opportunity, and that's what we have here. It's a new day and a new year. Welcome back to Wolfpack. Thank you.
I think you did a very good job letting me know overall picture of what the school is and what the district family stands for. I'm still wondering what your pedagogical approaches are, like what will I see in the classroom as far as what students are really focusing.
When you visit a classroom at Lincoln Park Academy, teachers will be following the I do, we do, you do model. The beginning of the lesson will have a hook to engage students and get their attention. That could last anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. You will also see students completing a do now prior to the beginning of the lesson so that no minute is wasted. Then you will see the teacher transition the class into stations differentiated based on ability in groups, and students will rotate from station to station over could be anywhere from 30 to 45 minute period of time. And during that time, the teacher will be with a specific group for more intensive direct instruction or remediation. And you will also see the teacher monitoring the classroom to make sure that every station is on task and completing everything. And then at the end of the lesson, you will always see some type of an exit ticket or assessment so that the teacher has tangible evidence of learning. Yes.
Let's say we're somewhere after mid-year math and you have your whole framework kind of how things are working. How will you adjust if they haven't met the growth measures? Like you talked about some of the things that you're going to do. What kind of things will you change? Or how do you anticipate any changes you need to make based on
Depending on if we're just going to say 4th grade didn't meet their math goals.
Sure.
And in that class of 25, that represents, say, 10 students. Those 10 students would be grouped during math and be put into, depending on where the deficiency is, if there's any likelihood or likeness between the deficiency, they would be grouped together so that while math students, same framework as literacy, are transitioning in their 3 stations, they can get better, more intense, direct instruction from the teacher-led group. So the focus will still be on that daily lesson and standard or objective, the teacher most definitely can intensify those extra skills needed directed at math. Yes.
How many students did you have in 3rd grade last year, and how many are being retained this year?
I had 24 students in 3rd grade last year, and I have 3 students being retained. One came to me at the very end of the year, and it's his first public school experience, so his retention is mandated by the state, local state agency. And the other 2 students, given the 6 opportunities to pass, they both came within a point. So we'll be closely monitoring them to see how close they may be to mid-year promotion.
summer, like overall focus, like character, and check understanding, and culture there, which one was yours?
Checking for understanding.
Check understanding.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna focus on a specific focus within check for understanding.
Yes.
And then
I don't understand.
She's meaning like
I
culture.
want you to say culture of error.
Oh,
Yeah.
You mentioned it, but that's what she's trying to make sure that we're like define, like, yeah.
We definitely struggled last year with students that were very frustrated at failure, and the way the strategies that were used last year were not effective, and I really feel like creating this culture of error is going to take our scores really where they need to go. Students are going to be a lot more comfortable in their learning. Yes.
First off, great letter, that was a fantastic letter. But in that letter, you also said that this is like a new change and a lot of things that are taking place.
Yes.
So it goes back to the question I was asking before. How are you going to do it, I guess?
Well, for one, I'm going to model it, and they will see nothing less from me. So I will never get the pushback of what I'm not doing versus what my expectation is. And professional development at Lincoln Park this summer is going to be intensive. It will not be as laid back as it may have been in the past, and agendas are going to be full with outcomes clearly articulated with the expectations shared. For some, it is going to be a more difficult transition than others, but I feel then that's where my relationship with my staff comes into play, because whether they want to do it or like to do it, we've got great relationships, and they respect me and respect where we need to go. There's not one person on staff that can argue against that we need to improve. And what we did yesterday didn't work.
How would you, this presentation was more focused on you being a parent. Do you have a parent letter that's sort of like that too, or is that something that letter you would share with parents? Like, hey, this is where we're going, what we're staying for, this is what I'm saying to all our teachers.
I would not be uncomfortable sharing this presentation with a parent, a community stakeholder, a partner, teachers, anyone.
You talked about summer PD, obviously it's something that we're all working on. What are your thoughts about ongoing PD for teachers throughout the year? What are you hoping to be able to start, or what are you hoping to be able to continue in terms of supporting them after August 15th?
Well, after we get through, I think my focus was on chapter 2 and 3 of TLAC, the culture of error and check for understanding. We're going to implement a number of strategies, and I'm going to be looking for them. It's going to be a part of my non-negotiables. So I need a little bit of time to gather some data, although I'll use the coaching meetings weekly to share with anyone that's not doing it or needs help in improving this, the implementation. I think then going towards, like, say, mid-year, if we really get this down, then we'll move into some of the more intensive checking for understanding pieces that were there. I can't implement them all, there's too many. And some require like really great skill and practice, so I would probably start layering on those deeper ones. And my guess is that we're not going to get it all the way right, and then I'm going to have to revisit some things and present it maybe in a different way, or maybe call on a coach for help because I'm not getting it right.
Yeah. So follow up. Emily's here today. We're excited. Can you explain to her when you say coaching? So she's talking to a prospective teacher that might go to Lincoln Park, and you're not on the call. Like, how would you want her to describe, like, when you say teacher coaching or weekly coaching meetings, like what that means for you?
So once a week, I will be meeting with every instructional teacher to go over an observation that took place in their classroom. So I have a lesson plan and on my lesson plan template, I have certain non-negotiables that I'll be identifying with teachers that I will be looking for. And these non-negotiables will be best practices or strategies that are going to improve instruction and decrease loss of instruction time and increase that they're really checking for understanding. Teachers are in a mindset of just presenting information, and in their head, as long as they got through it, it was a successful lesson. But we need to start gathering evidence of learning. So if you're talking to a teacher that wants to teach at Lincoln Park, it would be important for you to communicate to them that they will be fully supported. They don't have to have all the answers, and they don't have to get it right. They don't have to be perfect. They have to be passionate. They have to team. They have to be willing to go through all the stretching of learning, just like we require our students. So they won't be masters at presenting, but they will have me to support them and coach them on how to improve, and other people as well. They will have colleagues that can help support them, and I don't want anybody that applies to Lincoln Park to feel like they need to come to me perfect, ready to go, without error. It's okay.
So are you telling me you're going to be in my classroom every week?
Absolutely. I will be observing you once a week.
Am I going to get some notification? Are you just going to pop in on me and it's going to be kind of a gotcha? I don't know if I like the idea of being in my classroom every week. Kind of different.
It could be. It's not a gotcha, so that it's very important if that comes up. It is not a gotcha. We are a culture of error. It's okay. I am not there to reprimand or put something down on a piece of paper that you're not doing right. I'm there to help you improve.
How long are you going to be in my classroom? Because I've had experience in the past where someone pops in for 3 minutes and only sees a small snippet. I mean, it just makes me really uncomfortable to know that I'm getting this feedback, that may be based on very short observation.
Well, luckily at Lincoln Park, you will be surrounded by a group of colleagues that is very used to and comfortable with me coming in and out of the classroom. It may not be an experience that you're used to, but I really feel like once you and I go through the observation and coaching process, you will increase in comfortability. It really is not something punitive or anything that you need to worry about. No one's perfect, and everybody needs to improve, and it's really okay. Maybe the experience will better teach you. That's not a good enough answer.
Can I talk to some of your teachers to hear from them what it's like to work with you and make
That's not a good enough answer. Yeah.
So, well, we'll get to it more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a hand? So quick question, you mentioned about celebration.
Yes.
Like, so how do you want that to look? Whether it's on a weekly basis, like a big monthly or quarterly, like what are you envisioning for those types of celebrations to happen?
We hand out red tickets just for, money's sake, a raffle ticket, or any time that we catch a child displaying one of the core values for good behavior. It's kind of like got caught being good, frame of reference. And when students get 10 tickets, the teacher turns it into the office and we make announcements every day for students that have reached their 10 tickets. They come to the office, they get a certificate. We're still in the process because we changed our theme. Last year it was championship to support the Olympics, so they came and got their championship award and they got a bag of chips, championship, or a package of chocolate chip cookies. So we're still revamping. Our new theme is Hollywood, so we're working on it. And they loved it, and they got I think a Lincoln Park Academy pencil. They shook my hand, I thanked them for being a Wolfpack leader, and I mean, it really did instill pride, and they walked out, really happy. The grins. It was great. Even the kids that think that, they're terrible, they couldn't wait to get that award and shake my hand. Yes.
So, how do you create a sense of urgency and then sustain that sense of urgency throughout the year?
I'm a hyper person, and for whatever reason, it just tends to rub off on my staff. They feed off of my energy. So So as long as I'm still like in head cheerleader mode with my pom-poms out, they go with it. I'm blessed for that. I'm sure at some point I'm gonna get like a Debbie Downer that drags, and I'll just work harder.
All right, so real quick, going back to what you were saying, first of all, the way you said like, we'll build to it, like that is gonna be extremely impactful, whether it's a new teacher or one of your returning teachers. Like you just owning that like, this is gonna become normal, or like you're gonna see it, or we're gonna, like it's gonna be a part of, like that is gonna be really impactful to them, and I think it creates that safe space of, yes, it's uncomfortable, yes, I'm coming with baggage, but you're immediately like, starting to take that off of the shoulder. We're going to build to it, and we're going to do this together. So as you talk about that, I think that's going to be hugely impactful to them. The other things that I would emphasize, notice how you kept saying coaching. You didn't say eval, you didn't say OTAD, you didn't say any of that. So always bring it back to like, this is coaching, this is about me helping you and us working collaboratively to help you improve your craft. Like they just need to keep hearing that over and over and over and over and over. And I think the more you, as you reflect on that, like, so how do I want to communicate, like 2 or 3 key points, like they're just going to have to hear it. And then most importantly, I think you can be transparent, this idea that not only are we going to build to it, you're taking a leap of faith with me as your leader. Like, I think you can own that. I think I literally said those words to every principal in the room back in March and April. Like, this is going to be a really hard summer, but I need you to like take a leap of faith. But by the end, we're going to be in a better place to be school leaders. I think the same way with teachers. Like, you're trying something very new, and like they have to just have some trust. And like, you're not going to have every answer, but you know why you're doing it, and you know how it's going to help them. And like some of the minutia. Like Emily was asking, like, how many times you're doing everyone, like, you can be confident as a leader and say, I don't know. That's not important right now. What's important is that you understand we are going to be working collaboratively to help you better and why. And maybe it's 5 minutes this week, maybe it's 30 minutes next week, but getting them out of that like very fear-based questions around observation coaching. The more they hear it, I think the stronger and the more buy-in you're going to get around that, you know? The other thing related to that, I want to echo what Julio said, like your letter, like that's powerful. Whether that's said to staff, whether you say anything to parents or tweet it, like I think that, and them hearing that is going to really set the stage. The one area I push you is there were some good, there were some great things happening at Lincoln Park last year. Like how can you infuse that into honor and value the people that are back and what they did really well? Now I don't want, you don't need to like, this so-and-so did this, but no, just high level, like we as a community or we as a school or we as a Wolfpack, we did this last year, and next year or this coming year it's going to be like honoring some of those things that happened for the returners, and this is for everyone, it's going to be so impactful to them that you raising the bar doesn't seem like this big, all of a sudden, huge transition. It's like, yeah, like we had a good foundation, and now my leader wants me to go that much higher, and I feel ready for it because like she recognized all the great things we did, and we're building off of this. She's not coming in with like whole new sets of things and not honoring what we accomplished. So just always think about that. All right. Why don't we take a 10-minute break? So at 11:05, let's be back in here. And East Nehemiah is going to be up.
You did it on purpose. I did. I looked at the cup. I was like, Nehemiah. I believe you.
Come on, man. Come on. Twist the corner, something. Let's go.
What's your mascot?
Rocky.
You know the Terry Tate commercials?
Yeah.
Terry Tate
No.
commercials?
Yeah.
No. I want you to do something like that.
Great movie thing. Actually, I got a board. I got a board from there changing.
Whoa!
You know what? I'm gonna have you do that, man.
Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be awesome. I'd do it.
I believe you.
I've got a bunch of football jerseys.
Yeah. Yep.
you need a computer? You got a jump drive?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. This need a computer?
You might let me know. I'll be like, the ping train's coming through.
Yeah, she would too.
Be careful.
I sent you an email too from Aisha about some compliance stuff, I guess they found. Out in compliance, I didn't see it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, give me some time. I just decided.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not online, but yeah, and you sent to Maggie and to me? Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Let's see.
She is. Check this manifesto.
That's all she does.
Check this. I can't. Ooh, I killed
That's all she
Check
does.
this manifesto.
She will never talk to you about
Anything
students,
else.
teaching,
Check
or
this.
learning.
Check this.
Check this.
Yeah.
This one?
So please. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, and, it's interesting. Your sponsor, Manisha, and Buckeye sponsors. Like the Buckeye sponsor, Manisha, they did the work in the school. They're just good job. Julio and Hernandez, like their sponsor representative, are former principals. So it's a very different concept.
So they get it.
Yeah. And it really is a difference in how the sponsors have created their field of action, how the staff, like they just want a representative that just says compliance. Yep. And,
So I was telling Ben a little quick story about when I worked in Kansas City, we had UMKC, University of Kansas City, we were sponsor. It was very, used to provide training for staff, support for principals. I'm like, really, that's how it should be.
Yeah, I would say of all of our sponsors, Julio and Arnett, their sponsor, that's their mindset. They actually do grants every year for
Yeah.
schools. They do scholarships for kids that went to one of their schools for college. So even if one of Julio's kids leaves and goes to a high school, at least at one of their schools, that kid's still eligible for scholarship. It's just a totally different way of approaching it. Like they see themselves as partners, not as the heavy. Now, they will be the heavy when they need to, but they see it as more of a partnership, not just a checklist.
So UMKC used to also give our teachers training, if they needed extra hours for like reduced costs, all that.
Yeah. But very different.
So now I got a checklist manifesto
Yeah.
first.
But at the same time, she'll never pop in, she'll never, she'll own everything by the book, so. It is what it is. Who knows, it will always happen. Okay. I would like to start.
Thank you very much.
Different sponsors based on those that align with how we.
Yes, our values, what we do, how to work. This,
And that's one of the challenges, you acquire all the schools, so they have all different sponsors, that's why it's so distributed. But I suppose once you have some turnaround evidence, that will be able to find out all to one or two, maybe three that are really three bring that align. Exactly. All a work in progress.
Yeah, I know, you got a lot of moving parts, Mark.
Yeah.
Whoosh. I didn't know you had to go to court for a seatbelt violation.
What'd you say?
I didn't know you had to go to court for a seatbelt violation.
Neither did I.
I just got a,
Why don't you just wear your seatbelt?
I just got a summons that I missed.
Did you say, why don't you wear your seatbelt?
You never wear a seatbelt. You never wear a seatbelt?
Well, I do, but I didn't on this day. Wow.
Just have to pay your ticket and.
You have to say what's the limit if you do it.
I didn't. Ooh.
Julio, did Becky email you? Yeah.
It's not you, I mean, right?
Okay, she's looking for that bullying.
Anti-correction policy.
Bullying, incidents of bullying, and the certification of nutrition, that's what Maggie sent out for you all to complete.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forwarded you all that stuff and sent it.
She was trying to get the board moved out today, so
Yeah.
we won't go all day, so I think you get it her.
This week, you're gonna do like the 9 years in. I think it just makes sense to do.
I missed Alyssa's.
Okay. I mean, most people really need landing zones instead of one out. Won't overload them. But, yeah, I think so. Like, if I were to do that, I'm ready to go. So she said some of the, like, they have lesson plans for all of them. You can look at them, those are print, awesome. So like, book them, like, we didn't say we had music lessons, but it's like, this is one known source, so I think.
Alright.
They know that doesn't happen. Well, that doesn't happen. But I think the documents we created.
You think you're gonna be all right? You voting that seems okay?
And the piece about,
Two bagels, and like four bagels. Not like one bagel, two home bagels. And then I make a mac and cheese and then I also make like four bagels
Take your card for one morning before one.
Salad later, it's fine.
Well,
You feel natural or you
the
still?
more, no, the more the question, that helped me to kind of get out of my shell. Or I don't know, what's shell.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I think, you know, sometimes just doing it in the mirror, do a pigeon on the card, listen.
Are you for real? I walk.
Because it does, like, I notice, you know, sometimes the more I say, like, I'm only saying this. I think I'm inspired by you. Yeah, like, it's important. This is really what I need to focus on. That's what I'm going to do is repetition, like, keep bringing that out and making it clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully we can, that's how you do it. I think we need to squeeze it down a little more, not to staff on it.
Yeah, and you know, there's always the big picture and then each, you know, all your PD sessions tying it back to those things. A lot of letters.
What?
I didn't know about I'm back. Okay. Well, look at something like that. I've got a friend.
any of the confusion we had like a week ago, you can see any of that. Like, yes, not at all. It was such a huge difference. Because I tried to say, okay, think about the conversation we had, you know, last week, whatever, and then view this as like, who's just talking to me and telling me, and I just looked at it that way when you're none of the same. So, I still think you got a lot of work to get where you want to go, but it's a much clearer path to what you want now, for sure. Get full circle. Yep. Definitely. Not just the I think more every person is there was nothing vague about the responses.
I'm playing baseball. Actually, I used to play catch. Love it. And I school, more about trying to do that like football, so I've been trying to. It's hard. We had all season football at the same time. It's we get what we need to go. I was one season. My sophomore year, 200. 30 pounds. Eating. That's something.
I missed you, sorry. Miss Clem, I'm sorry I missed you.
Oh, you didn't miss much, it's fine. I can do it again for you at lunch.
Yes. Presentation. Gotta work on the whole.
I stepped up, I couldn't make it back in.
A little bit of stress and fun. Just a little bit. That's my thing.
Yeah, I was like, this is not the best thing ever.
I feel like I'm gonna start my weekend and I feel like.
That's why I wanted to go first.
You wanted that feeling to come out?
I told him that yesterday.
He's like, that's what I was thinking.
He's like, you didn't want to do it, now you want to go first.
I guess that's true, it's kind of a turn of events.
That's why I looked at it. I'm gonna meet outside.
That's why you were eyeballing.
That's why I was eyeballing. Turn the corner up on those.
All right. All right, I think it's time to start with Nehemiah and East. So Emily, when you're ready.
Yep, Nehemiah, you're on the clock.
Okay, I just want to say good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Just want to say that this has been a great experience, this whole process of trying to understand how we're going to shock the system. Shocking the system at East Academy, bringing the school back to life by examining and challenging every system at East Academy. When you think of this, what I've been thinking about is when someone is near dead, the doctor has a choice. You know, they shock them back. And that's the real challenge of what we need to do at East Academy. We need to shock life back into that building. They had a lot of different challenges. 3 principals in 1 year. Several staff members. They had a whole kindergarten class without having any teacher for the whole year almost. Teacher came the last 2 months of school. So we have to shock that back into a life, setting very high expectations and behaviors and academics for both staff and students, and creating systems that improve academic performance. Systems. I used to believe that one person being a charismatic leader can just come in and change in a school. That's not the way. You have to have systems and processes in place to really sustain that change. And so that's what that's what I will do at East Academy. My vision at East Academy is a vibrant learning community designed to meet students' different unique learning needs, which will help prepare them for high school and college readiness. Truly believe that. I think that's essential. We have to create an environment that every student who walks in that building has an opportunity to go to any college or any post-secondary institution in their life. My mission. Each educator, and I use educators because I'm an educator, every person, regardless of title, will be an educator in the building. At East Academy, we work diligently to execute our school academic and cultural expectations explicitly with fidelity to ensure each student educational needs are met. Okay, this is what I truly believe in. I mean, when I ask myself, who am I? What gets me fired up about doing this work? What are my passions? It's pursuing academic excellence, developing character, celebrating individuals, and building community. I think they are essential to who I am. Pursuing academic excellence. What you will see at East Academy is our educators pursuing academic excellence by checking for understanding and creating a culture of error. When you walk into the classroom at East Academy, you will see students are excited about their learning. You will walk into a classroom at East Academy, you will see students struggle and then experience success with their learning. You will see teachers modeling the culture of error with their students while they're teaching. And most important, students will know that it's okay to fail. One of the people who I admire, Nelson Mandela, I shared this before. He said, I only do two things in life. I either win or learn. We have to teach our students early on, and our teachers, it's okay to fail. We're in this together. I have to constantly model this to them with my staff. Constantly model that this is a culture of error, that it's okay to fail. But we'll continue to learn, and through our learning, we will experience success. Core value, developing character. At East, we believe that all students should respect themselves and others at all times. At East, all staff and students will follow our positive behavior intervention support, PBIS. The students at East will demonstrate good character by cleaning up after themselves in the cafeteria. I want to make sure I stress something. PBIS, to me, is what I try to embody. Anytime you have a conversation, I always want to be positive. I want to make, because I believe there's two things that really should set East apart. It's the positive relations that we have with each other. And through those positive relations, we're going to set high expectations. I think that's the centerpiece. So with PBIS, we're going to have positive interactions, and we're going to set high expectations around academic and behavior. Developing character. Again, when you see students in East respect the rights of other students to learn by using level 0 and they transition in the hallway. You will see students at East keep their hands and feet to themselves at all times. You will see students at East engage each other in positive conversation. When you see students at Eastern classroom, academic, they will be engaged in academic talk. And that's going to work hard on that. We're going to work through what is academic talk. So we're going to practice that. So the first 10 days of school, we're going to practice these. All these expectations we want our students to use and implement, we're going to practice. Celebrating individuals. The staff and students at East will be celebrated through PBIS. We will have Student of the Week, Student of the Month, Staff Member of the Month, and Student of the Month. There will be a social committee that will celebrate staff and students' birthdays. There will be a PBI store for students to buy things with their Falcon Bucks, with the Falcons, so we'll have Falcon Bucks we'll be passing out for students throughout. And we have different character traits we will use. We're looking at 10 different character traits, and those 10 days, when the students come on August 15th, we'll spend about 10 days going over each one of those character traits. And then we'll stretch those character traits. We'll teach one of those character traits every month throughout the school year. And when a student is exhibiting or really doing great with those character traits, they'll get a Falcon Bucks that they'll be able to spend on probably every Friday at the PBIS store. They'll buy different items. Building community. You will see students each working together cooperative and cooperative learning groups. I'm big on cooperative learning. I was trained Spencer Kagan, really getting students engaged in a lot of class building, team building. Get students to be able to engage, the most important talk, academic. But they have to feel comfortable within a classroom. They have to buy and appreciate each other and feel a sense of caring for one another. And that's essential to cooperative learning groups. You will see students of these academic work displayed throughout the building. I think that builds community when students see others, when they see each other work throughout the building. That's a big sense of building community. You will see students helping each other with academic work. Yeah, you'll have stronger students working with weaker students within a classroom when they're working in their learning centers. You'll see students creating projects that support their community and neighborhood. We're going to connect the local churches, local organizations, and we're going to have partnerships. We're going to go out, and I've done this before, we've gone out to homeless shelters, we've gone out to nursing homes to give cookies and just to provide a ray of sunshine for people who are in that need. Impact of my core values is, I believe that if I get a full investment of the staff in my core values, it will bring life back to East Academy. But I have to be able to get everyone behind that effort. There'll be a significant increase in academic performance at East Academy. There'll be a reduction of the number of referrals suspended at East. And student attendance will increase because students will want to be at school. Okay, are there any questions at this time? Yes.
You talked about your core values, and when I was thinking about pursuing academic excellence and building community, I wondered if you could talk about how you're going to work with your general ed teachers and your special ed teachers to collaborate to make the best experience for your students. Are you going to, what's your thoughts and where are you going with that?
Well, I think initially we're all going to be working on our PD on what it takes. We're going to dissect these core values, and we're going to talk about how does that impact the whole school year? How do we take these core values and how do we plan? How do we get the first 10 days of school, and how do we expand that every day, incorporating the two special teachers I have, the visual arts and the PE teacher. They're going to be a huge part of those discussions. So it should be an integrated process. Yes, sir?
So coming from East, I know the challenge that you have. How do you think you're going to get the buy-in from the teachers to kind of absorb what your vision is?
That's a great question. So I've already met with like 3 or 4 teachers. I call it my PBS committee. We met about 2 hours, an hour and a half, and we had some great discussion. I've shared them my belief in terms of how we plan to do PBIS. And I think it starts with a core group. And that's a core group because last night at 9 o'clock I received a call from one of those teachers telling me how we should try to implement one of the character traits. I think that's how it starts. I think you share your vision, you find a core group of people, and have them become a big part of the process. And they own it. I told them when I met with them the other day, I said, you know what, initially I will do the heavy lifting. I will help with the matrix, I'll help with everything, help with the PBS store, everything. I'll help. And then gradually, I'm going to give it to you all. But I think you have to find and get people invested in the process. Tap into what they know and what they want to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
So when you mentioned, one of your academic artifact that you want to see is academic talk in the classroom. So how does that look in kindergarten versus 8th grade?
That's a great question. So for kindergarten, it means that maybe just how to pass papers and how to, teaching students how to pass papers in their literacy service in kindergarten. Just learning how to understand that this is, we're going to work on passing papers today, and the students said, I passed, just getting them into the conversation about just the simple things. 8th grade is a lot deeper. It's going to be to the point we're talking about what's going on now in the country. We talk about, okay, let's talk, what just happened this week? The RNC conference. What impact is that having on you? We work together in groups, and we're writing about it in ELA. We're talking about that. So it's a deeper, richer conversation. But before we ever able to even enter those conversations, we have to be able to have a sense of community, because there's going to be some tough discussions. if I'm not real comfortable with you, because you probably live in my neighborhood and you might be a rival gang member, I'm not going to tell you how I feel about the RNC or how I feel about Black Lives Matter. So I think even from kindergarten, it's easier, in my opinion, to build a sense of community, harder as the students get up in middle school and high school, because they come from their own, they feel like they have their own sense of community. So I think that's the real work. And I have to make sure I get all teachers engaged in this process, especially the middle school. Because that's the key to the whole academic talk, because they have their own agenda sometimes. And it's so easy for them to go on diversion tasks and have different conversations. And that's harder to engage, I think. To me, it's easier if you can tap into it, because they have acquired more information over the years. So they should be able to get into more deeper, richer levels of academic talk. But if you don't do it right and set processes in place, if you don't have good class building and team building, when you build that sense of community within that class, then you're going to have chaos when you start having academic talk, because they don't know how to engage each other. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of practice. So that's what we have to do. I have to model, I have to practice, and that's our plan for the first 10 days of PD, is just working, problem solving for this. So we tap into what it looks like at kindergarten, what it looks like at first grade, because we know it's going to be different at the middle school level, but it has to be done. And it has to be rich, and it has to be a process in place. So I have to make sure that investment of time is there for those middle school teachers. That is probably my biggest concern in terms of the implementation. That's kind of what the PBIS committee shared, is that, I mean, they're on board. I mean, probably most of them primary teachers K through 3 were at the PBS meeting, but I've yet to hire, I got 2 brand new middle school people who started. So they're going to be brand new to this probably whole process. Some of them are familiar with PBIS, but most people don't really know what it is. PBS is not a program, it's not something you go buy, it's what you implement based on the needs of your school. And every school is different. So I have to first share people, give people information based on the school, and kind of share them the vision and how that vision should and will change among, for them to want to change the school and buy-in of that. Yes.
You talked a lot about this in your vision for your PBIS. How are you planning to get your teachers involved with you in the creation of that, the implementation of that, and the sustainability of that?
Okay, great question. So we've already met. I've already had a small group of people. I'm actually going to call all the teachers this weekend, and I'm going to invite them. We have another meeting Thursday at 2 o'clock. So I'm going to invite them to come out. All staff will be part of this committee. That 3 or 4 people that I have seem like they were super excited. They're actually coming back. I got some tasks to do coming back to the meeting. They have some tasks to do because we're actually going to work on hand signals we're going to plan to use throughout the year. One person going to bring more signals. So we're going to do that with that core group. I'm planning to expand, trying to ensure that I get some middle school, upper grades involved in that process. Need some middle school teachers part of that whole process. And that is the committee that will meet during the PD time. With a plan in place that during the PD time, we create a very scripted lessons for the first 5 to 10 days. We talked about K through 5, 10 days, and middle school with 10 days, but with content integrated in. That's what we kind of talked about. And just sustaining that momentum from that core group is key to have, from my experience, you've got to have a core group of people who are bought into it.
So they're creating.
Yes. Are they creating the plan for the 10 days?
Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yes, they're working, we're working together on that.
Can you talk through, so obviously a lot of what you've identified was around school culture and around building relationships and trust and all the things you've been talking about around culture. But when you think about shifting just to high quality instruction, you know that it's going to take some time, and you clearly articulated that in your owning it. But when things are going well in a 4th grade literacy block or a 8th grade science block, what are the key things that you want to see first as you slowly scaffold up, right? So you start with culture, and then you'll get more into the academic expectations. What are the first 1 or 2 things you really want your staff to accomplish, and therefore that you're gonna help them through PD and through coaching?
Well, great question. I like for them to do what I call a gradual release process. I think initially they have to be the teacher person in charge. Going to a student-centered approach, I want to see students working in cooperative learning groups. I want students to start owning more of their learning. I want to see stations. I want to see groups. I want to see students based on ability levels. But all that is going to take time because teachers have to understand what is academic, what is the math data, how to break that down, how do I have students work in their groups, how do I design an individualized lesson plan. That's what I like to see, going deeper, richer, that teachers are actually using that time, and students are actually engaged, and in the practice time, they're working, students are actually working at the levels they're at. But that takes time for teachers to really understand. I like to get to the point where we have student-led conferences where we have a binder for every student, and students, especially from, to be honest, from second grade on to eighth grade, where students are actually on at a level they understand, and they set growth goals, students do. So that's what I like to see. But in the classroom, day-to-day, I want to see a student-centered approach. I want to see students engaged, moving around. I want to see a kinesthetic. I think boys, or all the research says boys need to be up and moving. I think that's the key. I want to see that. I don't want a didactic approach. I don't want to see drill and kill. I want to see students engaged in real learning and critical thinking students. I want to see the teachers asking them questions about really meaning something to them. And how do they deal with that information? How do they problem solve through that information? So that's what I want to see when I walk in the classroom. And I know that's not going to happen overnight, but I'd like for it to happen. Start seeing it happen in October, November, with a strong expectation.
How are you going to teach your teachers to get to that?
Okay.
And what you were just talking about.
Part of it is I have to really determine where people are at. And this is what I've learned over time, is that people are at different levels. And so I will start having differentiated type PD. I will have different coaching sessions with people. So some coaching will be strictly in terms of how to implement PBIS with fidelity. Because I would ask the teacher, I'd ask about, what are you doing in terms of, walking your classroom. I see we're not following our building-wide expectations. I don't see students, raising hands or giving a signal, 1, 2, whatever our signals become. That, if that person is at level, that's a coaching. But let's say that a person has gone beyond that, then we start talking about instructional skills. Or what can we do in terms of how do we ramp up rigor in the classroom? What can we do? How do we get students more engaged in the lesson? Those are things I start asking teachers about and coaching teachers about. But everybody's at a different level. And for me to think I can go in and just give a one-size-fits-all, it does not fit. Just like students are different, teachers are different. And I have to determine that, assess that quickly. But that's what I have to do to provide the coaching and PD necessary for that teacher to get better. Great question.
All right, so keeping with the routine, in the feedback real quick that I would give, and actually it's for both you and for Anna, since you guys are working so closely. So I think one thing that is very clear based on your ability to articulate it and your history, what you want, like you're saying, in the classroom. And I think it is going to be really important to be able to break that down for teachers and scaffold it based on where they are. So even when I asked you, like, what will you see, where my question? But it was something like, what do you want to see first? You actually listed 7 things. So, like, again, real-time feedback, it's an opportunity just to, like, be more precise and digestible chunk you can give, the more that your teachers will buy in and not feel overwhelmed. And I think that's a really important thing, really for everyone, as we're thinking about our PD. If everyone has such a clear plan and where we want our schools come May, we really need to always be
asking ourselves, like, so what does that mean the week of August 22nd? And what is the school-wide focus need to be in September to really build up to that? So always keep that in mind. The other thing is, I think you should be even more transparent about how you've been learning about East over the past few 1 month and 2 days that you've been here. So you mentioned like talking to teachers already and meeting with them. Obviously you and Mr. Banks have been talking. I think when teachers, whether they're new or returning, hear in your conversation, like, so what I learned about East is blah, blah, blah. Or one thing I'm realizing about East is blah, blah, whatever it is. I think that is going to create this sense of security for them that, first of all, you're not going to be the fifth principal in less than a calendar year or whatever the time is, and that they know your turnaround background. Like they got your bio, I met with them, Mr. Banks met with them, and we talked about you before you were here. So they know your ability, caliber. They are going to really value the fact that you're taking so much time to learn about the school. And I think there's little ways, like when you reference parent meetings you've been having and what you've learned, or talking to your purchasing secretary and things that you've learned, or meeting with teachers, the more they hear that, like it's going to create this sense of like, okay, like he's coming in to help us at East. Now, like he's just coming in, they happen to put him at East, and now like he's going to try something that he did in Kansas City, or that he did in Big Blackstock, you know? And you're going to use a lot of the same strategies. We know that. Like, you went to UVA school turnaround for a reason. But the fact that they're hearing that this has been, that your planning is really tailored to the reality of East, I think it's going to create this sense of not only security, but like, he is becoming a part of East, and I'm either going to get on board, or I'm going to be left behind. And I think that's going to be really impactful to them.
Thank you. That's real good feedback.
All right.
We have a special request from Ms. Butler for Martin, so she can get to her meeting.
Either way, is it North Coast? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, great.
I am very excited for your presentation as well.
Do you need computer?
I'm gonna go traditional.
All right.
As a college adjunct professor, I'm used to lecturing, and sometimes the PowerPoint is distracting. So I'm gonna go traditional. Before I get started, I really would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have contributed to my playbook this far. I mean, from our superintendent, Mark, to our instructional coaches, Anna, Emily, and Ben, and my dear colleagues, the principals. Thank you very much. You know, I must confess that this process so far has been physically exhausting. I mean, emotionally draining and intellectually challenging. However, every minute that I put in is worth it. Why? Because when I started this process, in my mind, I always knew exactly what direction that I wanted to take North Coast. However, with all these pieces of information and all these ideas buzzing through my head, the challenge was, how am I going to bring all these pieces together? I mean, to make them flow in a logical sequence so that they can make sense. And at this stage of the game, I would say that I feel more comfortable articulating what is contained in my playbook. That's the reason why I really don't need power presentation. I don't even need to look at this because it's already part of it. It's just like writing a book and you have to talk about it. This being said, this work right here is in no way a finished product. I'm still working on it, refining it, tweaking it. So I'm going to continue asking for your feedback. I'm going to continue asking for your input so I can continue refining the work that I started on this. I know I'm going to get down to business in a minute. I only have about 13 minutes to go. But it was important that I said what I said. Now, I would like to start with our school mission at North Coast. Our school mission really centered around high quality instruction to get our young people ready for high school and college. That's our mission at North Coast. And we all know that the mission is one thing, but really making that mission come alive is a totally different ballgame. So how are we going to do that? So as I was thinking through this process, I came up with these core values, actually 5 of them. We have, in these core values, the S, that stands for safety. The T, that stands for team. The A, that stands for achievement. The R, that stands for respect. And the last S, that stands for support. And it wasn't at random that I came up with this acronym, STARS. Because to each letter, I'm going to attach a star. And I was thinking big, and that's me. North Coast, a 5-star school, just like a 5-star hotel. So to each core value, we're going to attach a star. Why? Safety. The first letter on the acronym. Why safety? The S that stands for safety. We know very well that we cannot be effective and productive in a chaotic environment. Key safety is key to productivity and effectiveness. That's what the S for safety stands for. T, which is for teamwork. I believe that a great team never fails. That's me. A great team may stumble and fall, but guess what? A great team is always going to get up and move on. Because to me, failure is not about falling. The real failure to me is about failing to get up when you fall. And a great team never stays down when it falls. That's teamwork, the power of teamwork. A, that stands for achievement. Why are we all gathered here today? The core, the reason why we all gathered here today, because we're going to have to make an impact on student performance. It is at the core of everything that we do. And how are we going to make that happen? We've got to make sure, and this is the thing, the really most important defining factor to make a difference in the classroom is teachers' preparation. We've got to make sure that we prepare our teachers to make them to give them the skills and the tools they need to make a difference in the classroom. That's how achievement is going to come about. Now, R, my acronym, stands for respect. From my experience, I don't know about you, but every time as a leader that I've given my staff the opportunity where they feel valued and respected, they've always bring their best to the table to make miracles happen. I don't want to brag about myself, and I think that's the reason why we have always been successful as a team. Because everyone, and I'm not talking about fake respect, I'm talking about genuine the respect, where people really feel that my opinion, my ideas are valued and they're appreciated. They're going to bring the best game to the table and things are going to happen. That's powerful respect. And the last S is for support. Every time that we have a system in place, we've got to have a support system to make sure that people who are involved in this process have the support they need when they need it. So we've got to have a support for our teachers to make sure that they have what they need to make things happen in the classroom. We need to have a support for our students who are struggling. And those students that I qualify, that I identify as struggling, are those students who are not on target to being promoted to the next grade because of some academic deficiencies. So those are our core values that are going to drive and support our school mission to make it come alive. Now, we have defined our school mission. We have defined our core values that are going to drive and support our school mission. But we know that this school mission is not going to happen in a vacuum. It's got to happen in an environment that is conducive to bringing that alive. And that brings us to the next section, is school culture. And our school culture really centered around teamwork, which is like the driving force to inspire excellence, academically and socially. That's our culture. And we know that culture, when we define culture, is actually this abstract system of values that define any society, any organization, any family. That's what we call culture. But it's so abstract. And in order to see it alive, we need to move on to the next step, which is climate. Because climate is going to be everything that happens day in and day out in school. Those observable behavior that we can see, it's actually going to bring us to the next step so that we can know how it feels, how it sounds like, and how it looks like. Those are what I call observable behavior. And I'm sorry because I'm not going to be able to go in depth in terms of actually giving you the details of what is it I want to see in terms of climate in that area of detail. I'm not going to be able to do that because we don't have time. Time's sake. But climate then is going to show us the first element, third component on climate is going to be what I call safety. That takes us back to the mission where we talk about safety. Now, in a safe environment, we have a set of procedures and values and rules and consequences and rewards, and these are spelled out in my book. What exactly, so that we know how to walk in the hallway, how to use the restroom, how to sit in the cafeteria, what to expect in the classroom when the teacher talks to them, or when they talk to each other. It's going to be very specific. That's safety. When we have rules, we have system in place, people feel safe. And it's important for the emotional, intellectual, and physical growth for our young people. We need it. So under climate, we have relationship. We all know that nothing really effective can happen if we don't cultivate positive relationships. It's important that we cultivate this positive relationship among students, among teachers, among principal and staff, among our parents, our visitors. All our visitors who come to our building. Positive relationship is key in making things happen. Now, the next one, under climate, is going to be what I call external environment. Now, we all know, let's suppose that we go to the neighborhood, we want to shop in a store, and we come in front of two stores. One is really clean from the outside, attractive, the other one is kind of dirty. The natural tendency for us is to go to the store that is attractive, right? It's the same concept that applies to a school. We need to make sure that the external environment of school is attractive. We are in the customer service business, and that's how we attract customers, by being clean and attractive. So that's under the climate. The next one under climate is teaching and learning, and that's going to guide us on the third section, which has to do with school academics. Teaching and learning. That's why we're here today. We want students to learn. We want to make a difference in student performance in the classroom. And at North Coast, we have adopted two non-negotiables. Not only to create a sense of uniformity, it's not a matter of moving from classroom to classroom, seeing different things going on, we have adopted two non-negotiables. The first one, the gradual release model of teaching, where we say, I do, we do, and you do. That's going to be implemented in all classrooms, and I expect to see that again. Number one, our instructional coaches, our instructional focus is accountable talk. That's non-negotiable number two. Accountable talk is what? Accountable talk is where students actually intellectually engage in a discussion, because that's how we check for understanding. Then the teacher becomes a facilitator. So now engage with each other. And I know I don't have much time, but I'm going to really go through this because I need to highlight those important components that are really inculcated in my paper. So that's really the area. I know. And that's really the area as far as teaching and learning. But again, that dives also the third section that has to do with school academics. Now, the main thing under school academics is really pedagogical approach. What do we want to see in the classroom happening day in and day out? I want to see that gradual release strategy being implemented daily. I want to see accountable talk going on. And the question session, I will go into detail as far as that. Right now, I don't have time. But now, also, when I go into a classroom, I want to make sure that the teachers, during the sessions where I have to coach them, they have the tools and the skills they need to make a difference in the classroom. And I'm going to engage my teacher in setting goals for each and individual student. There's something that I call IEP. It has nothing to do with IEP, Individual Education Action Plan. That means that we analyze student data, we dissect it, and we identify those areas where they need support, and we develop a plan for each individual child. Every individual child in the building should have that. And that's how we're going to target our instruction. Because just because students are in the same class doesn't mean that they're the same instructional level. And my motto is precision and personalization. That's how we're going to teach kids, and that's how we're going to make a difference in the performance. Now, this thing has to be monitored. There's going to be a monitoring tool in place to make sure that on my monthly one-on-one meeting with the teacher, we actually monitor student progress. Because what would not make sense to me is, if student is at one level in September, you come back to meet with me in October, and they're still at the same level. That's no excuse. There's no excuse for that. So we're going to have to monitor that. But the last piece on teaching and learning has to do with what do we do with those students who are struggling. We have to have a system support. So we have intervention specialists in the building. We have special ed teachers in the building. We need to make sure that we identify those students who need support, and then they get the help that they need. And I can guarantee you, when this plan is implemented at North Coast, I have no doubt in my mind that North Coast will be successful. I have no doubt in my mind that North Coast will blossom. I have no doubt in my mind that North Coast will shine. I have no doubt in my mind that North Coast will become one of the most performing schools in the state of Ohio. And that's my case for now. Thank you.
All right, questions?
I just want to start off, that was very impressive fact you did it without any assistance. That was good. Very good.
So Martin, very, very passionate. My question, something that you said at the end about, individualized learning plans for all the students, regardless of their special needs student or not. And then for the struggling learners, being able to identify them and support them with the staff that you mentioned. What does your process look like? I'm curious for my own benefit.
Thank you so much for that question. As a matter of fact, it's nothing new to me, because something that I've done in the past and it's worked. Because again, my motto is precision and personalization. I don't believe that we can actually effectively teach a child and ensure that they grow if we don't identify where they are instruction. We have data available. And a matter of fact, in my own experience, I've always used different data points. But right here, from what I've seen, we have multiple data points. We have the map, NWA, we have RTI, we have iRead, we have available data, the classroom assessment too. So what we do, we gather this data and we dissect this data. And we're gonna see that there's some commonalities in terms of areas of weakness in most cases. It's not always the case. So once we identify those weaknesses, this is what I expect from my teacher. Please make sure that each child has a plan, that each child has a profile. And in this profile, based on the data that we have available, we have some baseline in terms of where they are. And based on this, on that baseline, and based on those areas of weaknesses, we develop a plan so that you can target your instruction based on the area of weaknesses. So we use that. We establish IEAP for every child, and we monitor that. How do we monitor that? I have, and I'm going to provide for my teachers, what I call the collect data chart. It's a simple chart. But this chart, I would expect all students to be color-coded based on where they are. And the place on this chart, we have below basic, we have basic, we have proficient, and then we have advanced. Different colors. Now, I have the term that I use, moving west, because I would like to see my student moving from below basic on the east side to advanced to the west side. That's what I call moving west. So when I meet with my teacher one-on-one once more, and that's a accountability piece too, my question to you would be, we've been working together through coaching session, classroom observation and constructive feedback. And this chart in September was at 50% in terms of achievement. If this chart in November is still at 50%, what seems to be the issue? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not saying that the children should be at the same level, but what I'm saying that each child should grow. There's no excuse for a child not to grow. But if we really follow this plan with fidelity and consistency, we're gonna see growth with every child. Not at the same pace, but we're gonna grow based on where they are.
You mentioned the gradual release and the IDEA model. So can you give us some examples, let's say, fourth grade math? What are some examples of what the IDEA time would look like? So if you walk into the room, what are students doing, what are teachers doing during that VD time?
Thank you so much for that question. I mean, as a matter of fact, the I can statement, that's how all lesson learning should start. And the reason why, and I want to backtrack a little bit before I come to the question. The reason why I can statement is important is because in the process, the instructional process, the teacher should be able to come back from time to time to I can statement as a checkpoint to kind of juggle the memory or the mind of the student to kind of see where they are. When I enter like a math classroom, in terms of the gradual release model, the teacher will give direct instruction in terms of presenting the concept and maybe some resources to support the concept that he or she is presenting to students. But really to me, and based on experience, what I expect to see is accountable talk. That means that students are going to be in group or partner, actually engaging in discussing the concept that is being presented to them. And during the presentation that Anna did, and she was talking about the habits of discussion, I would like to hear students say, for example, I agree because, I don't agree because, I have a different way of looking at this. I want to build onto what you say. So these are the things that we're going to be learning in PD so that the teachers practice them so that they can translate them in the classroom. So when I enter a classroom and I want to see the gradual release method being implemented, I want to make sure that they follow the steps of direct instruction, guided practice, and independent practice. But the most important thing for me is how engaged students are using accountable talk to discuss the concept that is understood. Because that's how I will know that they engage. Chances are, when students actually put in practice their cognitive ability, chances are they retain information than when the teacher is just teaching. So I expect to see them in that accountable thought process using the habits of discussion.
When you look at culture and climate, and I love your, what you have, your definition, what do you see how you can actually implement it, in terms of the culture and climate? Have you ever thought about the process in terms of what are you going to use and how you're going to use it?
I thought about the process, I did. And as I said, I'm still going to ask your input and the feedback from everybody. But because I'm still refining it, it's not a finished product. But what I have right now is something that is good to start with. Let's say, for example, in terms of climate, let's say safety. Safety, we have to have order. We have to have a structure for things to happen in a productive way, right? So which means that my rules, or North Coast rules, are clear and they're uniform. And they should be posted everywhere the same way, so that we have the same language. Because to me, a sense of uniformity is important. And students need to know, and they're going to be taught, for example, how to walk in the hallway, how to sit in the classroom, how to sit in the cafeteria, how to use the table manners. All that is specified, and all those things are going to be taught and modeled during PD, so that it can translate into what is going on in school day in and day out. Another important thing is what I call the morning meetings. And that's how I'm going to start my PD every single day with my staff. The morning meetings really create bonding, and it creates some kind of cohesiveness beyond our understanding sometimes. So that's how I'm going to start my PD meeting with all my teachers, so that there's a sense of family. Because again, my leadership style has never been top down. It's always been across the board. I want to bring everybody in. I remember one of my teachers, they were saying, oh, you're going to be the king of this school. I said, I'm no king. I just happen to play a role. And you have your role to play. And we are together in this.
Can you talk a little bit more specifically about the morning meeting with students?
Yeah, the morning meeting with students. Now, what's even the rationale behind morning meetings? The rationale behind morning meetings is create a community, a family, where everybody feels bonded. I remember when I was a teacher, honestly, I didn't even know about responsive classrooms, because that's where morning meetings come from. I didn't even know about it. But it just came to me that I had to build family. Every single morning, before I would start teaching, I would sit with my student in the carpet. And sometimes I remember the first meeting that I would sit with my student, oh, my teacher is sitting on the floor with me. Because I wanted to create that closeness, so that they feel that I'm part of them. So the morning meeting actually, in this context right now, is about creating a community, building bonding. And I'll give you an example. And I have to appreciate, because as I was talking with Anna, she's gone through this too, and we are talking about it, and she gave me very good ideas too. For example, this is how I'm going to start my PD in the morning. I come, and I write you a note, my stuff, an inspiring note. Let's talk about Africa, okay? Now we finished talking about Africa, and then I would ask you, where would you think would be the best place for you to visit in Africa? Okay? And of course, you'll have to think about it, and you talk about it, and we just share. But one of the most important things to us, we sit in, because we're going to be sitting in a circle, we have to greet each other, handshake, and we have to make eye contact. So Nehemiah. Good morning, Nehemiah. How are you doing today? And you do the same thing. You greet him. Call his name.
Mike.
All right, and we go around doing that for everybody. Once we do that, then we go to the morning message that I've already written. I read it, and there's a question at the end of that message that we're going to discuss. and then you give your own opinion, and sometimes you share something personal, just sitting in a circle. So that's what I expect the teachers to do in the classroom every morning before they start any lesson.
Can you just kind of discuss some things you've been thinking about celebrations, incentive, motivation, anything that you have specific in your plans for your building?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be a daily motivator, actually, and I've already been that way, every day. But there's something that I've noticed just studying about North Coast, is that we have a diverse student community and also a diverse parent community. But I really think that it's important to honor that, to salute that, and demonstrate that. It just so happened that I speak Spanish too, so I think it's going to facilitate so many of my communication with my parents. And I also, I mean, as far as being as a celebration in the building, one of the things that I'm hoping I'm going to get from our board is just these artifacts that celebrate diversity, because I really would like to see this all over the building, so that when people walk in, they have an idea of what's going on in terms of people respect and celebrating diversity. But also, at the end of each month, I anticipate having some kind of a ceremony where we celebrate those students who have shown exemplary behavior, and those who have been recommended maybe by the classroom teachers for academic excellence. Those are going to be monthly assemblies just to make sure that we celebrate success. Because I think celebration is part of making a great place for learning. We have to celebrate success. I think it's important.
We were talking the monthly one-on-one meeting. How would you challenge, or how would you coach a teacher that you notice after 2 weeks or after a week that you have no trouble kids or something like that, or if you're seeing instructional practice?
And that's a very good question, because number one, we have the culture of error. It's okay to fail. But what I need from all of us is to be honest. I never want anyone to shy away from the fact that you failed and try to put the blame on somebody else. If you fail, you have the responsibility to fix it. So if this child has not moved based on the correct direction, I expect them to be moving west, and they've not moved an inch. What seems to be the problem? And what are you doing about it? What help, additional help, can I give you to make things happen? Because this child has to move. But I really look at it from the standpoint of responsibility, accepting our responsibility that we have failed and doing something about it.
Following up on that is that monthly meeting you're checking with teachers, or is that once a month you have a just data meeting and then you have other individual meetings with teachers on a different schedule?
Yeah, and thank you so much. And this is going to be part of the master schedule too. The monthly meeting have nothing to do with the coaching sessions. That's separate. Coaching session goes on a weekly basis. Monthly meeting is that calendar that I'm going to communicate to all the teachers so that they know at this time of the month, I'm going to be meeting one-on-one with them with the correct data chart so that we can monitor specifically the progress of each student. The coaching sessions are different. We've got to have those every week.
Connor, you're so engaging and sweet. First, I feel like good with you.
Excuse me?
Excited.
I didn't hear you.
Just say you're engaging, you love the way you talk.
I like your energy. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
We need to get you in front of more families. So.
Yeah, I mean, so I think building off of Lisa, so sort of two things in feedback, and you hit one of them. First, like the way you opened it up about this process has been physically challenging, emotionally draining. I think that, number one, your teachers hearing that is really important. And then I think you tying that into Like, this is gonna be something that our students experience. Like, they need to be the ones working hard. Like, they should be tired mentally at the end of the day. They should be physically tired, not because they're running amok, but because they have PE and they're going through centers and there's like times for them to get to whatever the case may be. Like, I think you relating that back to yourself through your experience of in the span of, by the time your teachers come back, you will have been in Cleveland for a month and a half. I think that's going to be really impactful to them, and I think them hearing about what you've done as the framing for your expectations of them as teachers and for their expectations of students is going to be really powerful. The other thing, and you hit on it, is you cannot discount the diversity that you are bringing to the principal role at North Coast. So yes, there's a diverse school community. Even if there wasn't, like, you speak 8 languages, you have lived in other continents. Like, they need to hear that because that has made you who you are and has shaped your theory of education and what a great school looks like. And then knowing that about you and how it shaped you will be, I think, really meaningful to whether it's teacher, student, or family. And then I do think, given the community that North Coast is in, your ability to speak in Spanish to teachers, or to teachers or to families or to students, that is going to be, I think, really powerful. And I would push you at some assembly. And this was a struggle at one of my schools in New York, where 45% of our students were ESL. Like, the principal would start in Spanish, and then we would translate it into English. And that was a level of connection that our families had never had before at their child's school. And for the first time, they walked into a room, and they didn't do it second through a translator. And I think the ability that you're going to be able to do that is going to be so impactful to them, and it's going to lead to such engagement and buy-in that they're going to get on board. So I would always push you to think about how you're using your personal story and connecting to your family. All right. Let's, well, should we do one more now, or do you want to take a lunch break now and then do the rest when we come back? Let's take a vote, because some people are going lunch and some are going one more. If you want lunch, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. If you want one more.
One more.
Okay. All right.
Okay, one more then.
One more, and then we'll break. Who's up?
Jay-Z.
He was hoping for lunch.
No, he wanted to get it over with.
No.
Do you need a computer?
I do have a PowerPoint. I emailed it to you.
You want that? Okay.
And then-
North Coast, a 5-star school.
I don't know kind of.
I love it. Look, I got the stars. I'm like, it's good.
I see some money for my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. North Coast, a 5-star school.
That's my phone.
Yes, sir. That's your goal. I'm trying to get at least 1 star. I just want to get a star.
All right, I know everybody is getting hungry, so I'm gonna go ahead if I'm ready and you're ready. So we're good. All right. So yeah, echoing what many of you have said, this has been a tremendous process. Some days felt better than others, but I'm grateful to go through it because it's made me a better individual educator and not just receiving a bunch of theory and pedagogy. It's actually challenged me to really determine what I believe and what it is that I expect to see in the school. And so I'm at West Park Academy, home of the Tigers. And first and foremost, I want to start by sharing my core pillars. Now, what is a pillar? A pillar is something that holds up a foundation. and it holds something up. And if one is cracked or one is falling apart, then other things are going to fall as well. And so you'll see here a picture of the outside of our building. It didn't look like much just a week ago. And so through the generosity of our school board, we were able to add my 4 pillars to the outside of the building. And those 4 pillars are community, integrity, resilience, and excellence. Let me explain why those are my pillars. First of all, it begins with the community. You know, I have often in my principalship explained to my students and my families and my staff that if anything else, or if nothing else I should say, we have this place in common. And you know, we go home to different households, we go home to different backgrounds, we attend different churches or different places that we go of interest. And so if anything else, we have this place in common. And so because of that, we have to take care of each other. We have to work together. We have to do things with the betterment of our school and ourselves in mind. And so it starts by building that community. Next is integrity. To me personally, integrity is the highest form of character one person can have. Because it describes who you are when no one's looking. It describes who you are when you don't have to be told to do something. And so integrity is at the peak of the character chart for me. And so I expect for us to be to act with integrity, to treat each other with integrity, to carry ourselves with integrity. And so that's one of my pillars. Next is resilience. I want you to think of a time when you truly found out who you were as a person. Some could say maybe this summer for all of us has been a resilient time for us going through this process. But you didn't learn something about yourself through the easy times. You learned something about yourself through a time, professionally or personally or some other time in your life, where you had to struggle, where you had to come through and find out who you are. And maybe there were times where you doubted and you didn't know if you were going to come through. But through a sense of resilience, you overcame whatever that obstacle is. And so at West Park Academy, that's where learning takes place. Students need to be resilient, staff needs to be resilient, I have to be resilient. And so we're not going to move the bar if we're not, if we don't have that sense of resiliency. And finally, all those things lead up to excellence. Excellence in many areas. Excellence within ourselves, excellence within the classroom, excellence within the community, excellence in every area that we can think of. It's not just about the 4 walls of West Park Academy. It's being excellent in our lives and in everything. And so with these 4 pillars, it's really going to require this. And I am stealing this from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because if we're not this, if we're not all in, then these pillars will start to shake, the foundation will start to crack, and we will not be able to achieve the goals that we have set forth for ourselves. We have to be all in. And again, it comes back, it circles right back to community. If we're not all in, if we're not given 110%, then we decrease the likelihood of meeting those goals. You know, I just got done speaking with a few teachers about needing to be all in, and it wasn't a criticism of them. It was me sharing a snippet of my vision of needing to be this, of needing to sacrifice for what is best for our school and best for our students. When you ask somebody, hey, would you mind switching to this or doing that, and it's something that maybe they haven't done before or done in a while, there's that hesitancy. And I understand that, and I'm sympathetic to that. However, I'm pushing them to be resilient, I'm pushing them to be excellent, and I'm pushing them to be a part of a community of learners that we are, to know that if we're not all in doing what it takes to get us there, then maybe you're not all in. And again, that wasn't a criticism to any of the teachers, that was me sharing my vision and what it means to be all in. So These 4 pillars hold up this mission. Students at West Park Academy are prepared for competitive high schools as leaders devoted to lifelong learning. Could sound pretty cliche, however, I want my students to be able to have the opportunity. Whether they go to Cleveland Public High School down the street, or whether they go somewhere else, I want them to have the choice. I don't want the choice made for them because we provided a subpar experience and a subpar education. And so I will sleep at night knowing I've given everything I could, and my staff has given everything they could, and the parents have engaged in every way that they could in order to give their children that opportunity. Whether they choose it or not, I will rest knowing they had the choice in their hands and it wasn't dictated for them. So how are we going to reach that mission? Let's start with the academics. First, we have individualized learning goals, and I've heard a couple of you indicate that. So we're on the same page here in many ways. So roadmaps to success is what I call it, is what we call it. And so what that is, we're just building off of the map assessments and how we have those learning continuums and those growth targets, those projected growth measures. And so we want to really make them come to life. We want the students to own them. We want the staff to own them. And collaboratively through that community pillar, they're coming together to create those goals for themselves. And so it starts with that roadmap to success. And that's what's going to be monitored. That's what's going to have intermittent